Send in the red shirts.
Oh. What? Ah. Lorca. Dude. What? Okay, I can't right now. Let's just get into this review. Wow. Another head buster episode. And we're only 2 episodes in this second batch of this season. Wow. I mean, I gotta say, this show is just like, it's throwing so many things at me. It's like I almost can't keep up. I'm a little confused. But I have to say, it was a good episode. I was entertained, but I did have some problems with it. Much like last week's episode, it just seems like they're doing too much, trying to cram too many storylines or too many plots into one episode. We got Stannis running around the mycelial network. We got Ashe going nuts. And then we've got, might as well just confront it head on. We got the Mirror Universe, and we learned that Lorca is the Mirror Universe Lorca. To our listener, Stephen Bates, who has been listening to us since the beginning, and can't tell you how much we appreciate that. Bruh, who's going to win the Super Bowl? Okay? Let me know now so I can place my bets, because you called it from the beginning. My man left in it this whole long manifesto, a treatise, on the Red Shirts Star Trek page, Facebook page. Dude, you were cheating, right? I mean, he basically called it step by step. So, hey. And I got to give, there was a while ago, someone commented, I think on the YouTube channel, that they noticed that, I thought it was an episode called Letha, where when Captain Lorca had his shirt off, they noticed a small triangular scar or something like that looked like a portable agonizer. Whoever that was, whoever you were, please come back and comment. Dude, you called it. So that reveal just brings up more questions for me. First, is there a Lorca in the Prime Universe? There must be, because this Lorca has a history that is acknowledged by other members of the Discovery crew, and thereby I assume it's Federation knowledge that Lorca had a ship called the Buran, and he self-detonated it and lost all of his crew. So that indicates to me that one of two things. There was either an actual Lorca in the Prime Universe who went through a similar series of events, or it indicates that this mirror Lorca has been in the Prime Universe for a hell of a long time and has developed this history. Apparently, he's been there long enough to have developed a relationship with Cornwell. Everyone seems to know his record. Again, with the Buran, I think that was the name of his ship. I mean, I'm a little confused. I'm trying to remember back to all the clues to indicate whether or not this mirror Lorca is impersonating the Prime Lorca, which then we don't know. Then the question is, where is the Prime Lorca? What happened to him? Was he possibly killed in the Buran explosion as well? And this Lorca is doing the same thing that Burnham is doing in the Mirror Universe, filling in for a person who was presumed dead or lost. Just a lot of questions, and I hope they don't pull a J.J. Abrams Lost and they don't get around to answering some of these questions. But man, why did he let that soldier that was brought in by the commandant, I'm calling him a commandant, why did he allow the commandant to kill that soldier who demanded Lorca to say his sister's name? And this is where, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, this is where I get a little cynical with the writing. It's like the only reason I can think that he allowed that guy to die without just saying the woman's name is just so we can have that reveal at the end. I mean, to write in a character that is part of Lorca's rebellion, so they're a comrade in arms, and to have Lorca allow that guy to be killed just when he could have just said the person's name, the sister's name, just for that reveal at the end. It seems a little gimmicky or Shyamalan-ish, I guess. I don't know what the term is, but that seemed a little like over the top. And that's another thing with this episode. A lot of it was so over the top. Now I watch each episode twice. I watch it so I can live tweet, and then I watch it a second time so I can pick up on clues I might have missed. The second time it wasn't as bad, but watching it last night, Sunday night, it just seemed like it was way too intense for Trek. I mean, I welcome this new version of Trek storytelling, which is a little bit more graphic, realistic, but I just thought last night, way too many people screaming, dying, blood. Emperor Yeoh cuts off the tops of 6 people's heads with a fidget spinner. I just thought it was a little over the top, and I have to question whether or not I can let my son, 11-year-old son, watch it. I don't want him to be traumatized, for God's sake. I mean, I was a little queasy when Mike got on the Karen, the Emperor's ship, and the first thing she says is choose one, pointing to three or four Kelpians. Then in the next scene, they're eating Kelpian. What is it with this show and eating humanoids? Yeah, so this episode was a little unpleasant, at least for me. That was my first impression. They had one scene with Tilly who brought some sort of levity, but not a lot. I mean, overall, the show could have lightened up a little bit. It was a little bit too much. Now, what's the deal with Stamets? First off, I just thought it took way too long to get Stamets and Mirror Stamets together. And then once they start to establish that, then we got our Stamets chasing the hallways to follow Colburn. I thought that took way too long. And then they finally meet up. Cobra tells Stamets that he was killed, and throughout the remainder of the episode, after Stamets gets that information, he doesn't seem that broken up about it. No tears, no kind of grief or anything. I know he's a Starfleet officer and he has a mission at hand, but I mean, you saw how Mike reacted when it was revealed Ashe was Vok. I mean, she was showing a lot of emotion. That's what we talked about last week. I know they're two different people, but I mean, it seems like Colburn and Stamets have been in a relationship for quite some time. You'd think he would have at least sniffed, whimpered, or something, some sort of emotion. When he wakes up, when one of the Stametses wakes up, he's wearing a Discovery uniform. But when he runs off, he wakes up and says, he did it. I'm not sure if he's talking about Colburn or if he's talking about our Stamets in Prime Universe, which is not, well, see, it's so confusing. Our Stamets, Prime Stamets, which is in the Mirror Universe now, in the chamber. Is he talking about him? But then the other question is, when he wakes up and runs off, the camera pans to a display screen and it says ISS Karen. So he woke up in his Discovery uniform. I would have expected that Stamets to be the Mirror Stamets waking up in the Empire uniform. So I'm a little confused. Did anyone else get that? So does that mean that the Stamets at the Discovery that wakes up in the chamber, the mycelial chamber, is that the Mirror Universe Stamets? Does this relate to the Stamets that was stuck in the mirror when one of the Stametses walked off, there was another Stamets in the mirror. Is any of that related? Are these the two Stametses? If that's the case, how did that Stamets end up in the mirror? Is it because I think our Stamets said that the Mirror Stamets was sending out clues or projections or something, and our Stamets says, "Oh, it was you. I thought I was going crazy." So was that this Stamets, the Mirror Universe Stamets in the mirror? I need these questions answered. But one other thing about the Mirror Universe Stamets, is this an act he's putting on? Because this guy, I don't see this guy surviving in the Mirror Universe. With the other characters, we're seeing, at least with Emperor Yeoh. Emperor Yeoh and the Cooper character that Mike killed in last week's episode. And with Tilly, we're seeing different versions of them where they are a lot more badass, which one would expect to survive in this tyrannical universe. But this Stamets seems the same, I don't know, the same kind of, I hate to say foppish or, very delicate. He's a badass. I mean, he's do or die Starfleet, but I don't know, a little bit too mannered or precise to survive in this universe. Is that working for you? Shouldn't he be a little bit more like harsh and grating and, badass, just like all the other mirror characters? That's just me. And I must say, Michelle Yeoh does a great job at playing bad. I mean, I loved her as Captain Georgiou in the Prime universe, but man, that dinner scene when Mike is trying to explain to Georgiou what the deal is, and she's like, please, and grabs a knife. I mean, that scene was pretty intense, just from an acting standpoint, from a tension standpoint. So I like seeing Michelle Yeoh play bad. And do you think that it makes sense, or not makes sense, but do you think it's right that Mike is willing to give this Emperor intel about the spore drive so that Emperor Georgiou can use it to possibly wipe out all of the alien species in the galaxy, the Galaxy Rebellion, which is what I'm sure she would do when she gets hold of the spore drive? Or do you think Mike has something else up her sleeve? Has she got another long game that she's playing? The Starfleet that I know, if you look at Voyager, Janeway, she could have in the first episode got her crew back to the Alpha Quadrant if she hadn't blown up the the array, I believe it was, the caretaker's array, because she blew it up. But she blew it up because she knew it would tilt the balance of power in the Delta Quadrant. So, that's Starfleet. That's how Starfleet gets down. Now, I know this is a much more intense Star Trek, but I got to think Starfleet's principles are still the same, particularly when it comes to, I guess this could be a case of infringement on the Prime Directive. But it looks like Mike's going to give her the intel of if that gets them home. So we're going to see how that plays out. And now here's what I'm talking about in regards to, I just think they're trying to do too many plots. I mean, we've already spent some time discussing two separate plot lines, all of which could make for one decent arc. And now we're going to bring up a third, something that I really don't understand. Lorca and Ashe / Vok. You're doing too much. Slow down. And this is probably the most disappointing of all plot lines, all the plot lines going, because, like I said before, I think it was great that we saw an infiltration into Discovery. Well, I guess this is the second infiltration, because we had Lorca, who is not of this universe, infiltrate Discovery, Starfleet, and through his own nefarious means, he gets the ship back into the mirror universe, presumably so he can continue the fight against the Empire. We also have this infiltration with Ashe, which has not played out well. What was L'Oreal's end game? I assume that she reconstructed Vok into a human so that he could go and just, steal information, be like a double agent, a spy. It looks like that has failed miserably because Ashe hasn't been doing his job. If that's what he was supposed to do, was to steal information, he hasn't been doing his job. He's basically fallen in love with Michael Burnham. He seems Starfleet do or die as well. So what was her plan? When was she going to enact this plan? It seemed like this plan required her to conveniently be taken captive by the Discovery so that she could get to Ashe. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And now I'm assuming that when we see her do those Borg implants, those Borg implants into Ashe's skull, that she has transformed him back into a human transformed him into a full human, because he starts by speaking in Klingon. I guess he's doing the Klingon prayer, but then he ends speaking in English, and all the mashed potatoes are gone out of his mouth, and she screams the Klingon Whale, which I think is typical that they do when someone dies. So she's made him completely human. So, I mean, if that's the case, that wasn't a very satisfying arc for me. I didn't really see any consequence of Ashe being on Discovery as a Klingon in disguise. That nothing paid off for that. L'Rell says that Vox sacrificed everything to best the enemy or to defeat the enemy. Like I said, that failed miserably. Unless there's more to come, I don't get it. Now, I don't usually watch After Trek. I did watch it this week because they had Jonathan Frakes on, and I want, that's a given. I want to watch it. And I did see the preview for next week, and we have a return. We have Landry returning. I liked that character. Now, I wonder if they're going to pull a Voyager. And what I mean by that is there was an episode of Voyager. I can't remember the title, but what happened was the Starship Voyager runs into an alternate version, not a mirror universe version, but an alternate version of Voyager. And something happens where the Voyager that we had started the show watching gets destroyed, or something happens. I think there's an illness or something on the ship, and our Harry Kim is the only one that's immune or something. And he transfers over to the alternate Voyager. Again, it's not a mirror universe, so it's not an Imperial or fascist Voyager, but it's just a second Voyager that I don't know. I forget the details, but so he steps over from the Voyager that we were watching from the pilot episode into this Voyager that appears in this particular Voyager episode. I wonder if they're going to do that with some of these characters like Landry. Like, is Colburn going to come back? The Mirror Universe Colburn? Will they run into him? And are they going to somehow bring Georgiou back? Or, I do recall Emperor Georgiou saying something about time displacement or something like that. With the Defiant or something. She said something about time that indicated to me that they may go back. The Discovery that we know will go back, and maybe there'll be a time displacement, and maybe Colburn will be alive again. I don't know. I'm asking a lot of questions, and that's fine, but it's getting a little bit convoluted. I think the show needs to slow down. Step back a little bit. Take your time. They've already done like 4 different arcs that could have sustained an entire season. So I'm not sure why they're trying to rush through everything, why they're trying to cram everything in. And again, I know my fellow redshirt Craig J is not going to like this, but as big a fan of Lost as I was, they did the same thing. And when they had to finally end the series, it was a complete letdown. They didn't get to everything they built up. And that's what I'm afraid is happening here. It's all about build up, less about payoff. So we got Lorca, Mirror Universe Lorca. We got Stamets. I'm not sure what's going on there. And then we got Ashe and L'Rell. And they haven't even resolved L'Rell's character. She's been locked up for a long time now. So these are stories that they're going to have to wrap up somehow. And I think they're trying to do it all. They're trying to do too much all at once. So having said that, did I enjoy the episode? I did. The reveal, I was sitting there with my mouth wide open. My wife was like, "What, Mike, did you like it? Did you like it?" And I was still sitting there like, so, okay. So, and a lot of you guys out there called it. A couple of you guys out there called it. What can I say? I'm going to be watching next week. I just hope that they find a good way to bring this all home. All right, so listen, we're going to do this again next week. Same time, same Discovery Channel. I will see you then. Take care.